everybody, and welcome to Match Day Matinee, where we talk about the beautiful game and its cinematic takes. My name is Raghav Sandhu, and I'm joined by Adam Ducker and Mark Guillerme. How are you guys doing? We'll start with you, Mark.
Good. How's it going, Raghav?
I'm doing good. How about yourself, Adam?
Really good.
Pretty good.
Rocking a Borat t-shirt today.
Ah, that's awesome. Great.
Fury.
Nice. It's a great movie film, as they say.
Yeah. Great subsequent movie film.
There you go. So,
not a football film, unfortunately. I tried looking. There's no footballs in the background. We can't cover it.
Not at all.
What about Brothers Grimsby? Another.
Oh, yeah, we could cover that. Yeah, there's definitely football in that. Raheem Sterling's in it, even.
Oh, really? Is he? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Awesome. So how's the last couple of weeks been going? How are you enjoying your holiday season?
Good. A lot of cramming to get everything done before the holiday break, but looking forward to I'm enjoying some time off, playing some Xbox. Got the new FIFA 21. Models look insanely good in it, but the actual gameplay is the same as like the last 5 years. So I think we say this every week, but yeah, enjoying it right now.
How about yourself, Adam?
Yeah, I've been playing not as modern games. I've been spending a lot of time playing sensible soccer on the Game Gear, actually.
There you go.
I happened to play it for an episode of Joypads to Goalposts and then actually enjoyed playing it. So started spending way too much time playing it. So yeah, if people haven't played sensible soccer on the Game Gear, it's a pretty good adaptation of that game if you're a fan and somehow have a Game Gear lying around.
Awesome.
How about you?
Still obviously staying at home, just less time in front of the computer for work-related things. So it's kind of good to get less screen time. Although honestly, that screen time is translated to TV, so not really saving much there. But still not this close and looking at a computer all the time. So it's been a good break, and kind of recharging and looking to getting back to work. And God knows how long the situation will last, but. We will get through it. Vaccinations have started, so let's.
There's hope on the horizon.
There's hope on the horizon. The end. We could see the light at the end of the tunnel.
We'll be doing a live episode in 2021 for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the hope.
Yeah, and I can think of visualizing a couple of places where we could potentially do that. So that's some locations exactly. So it'll be interesting, but. We're here today, and we're going to talk about One Night in Istanbul. That's the movie that we've chosen for the final installment of season number 2. And this movie is very special to me, being a Liverpool fan and vividly remembering the 2005 Champions League final. I was in grade 10, 11, and I had obviously bunked off school for that afternoon because obviously in Canada we get the games at 2:45 p.m. So I remember skipping school, obviously getting in trouble for it the next day, but it was so worth it. I mean, I don't need to get into the result. We'll see that during the movie. But just a little bit about the movie. So it's based on a 2009 play of the same name. It's written by Nicky Alt. And it's basically about two down-on-their-luck cabbies, Tommy and Gerry, and they strike an unusual deal with a local gangster to take their sons on a trip of a lifetime. Mayhem ensues, and they're basically going to watch the 2005 Champions League final. They're broke. But while they have this dealing with the gangster to get 2 tickets to the Champions League final, like I said, a lot of mayhem ensues and the movie basically goes from there. It's a comedy. It's an action film in a way. But I think one thing this movie does really, really, really well is is the location that it films in. So it shows the best of Liverpool and it shows the best of Istanbul, and to me, some of the scenery is just beautiful to see. But what did you guys think of the film? Adam, we'll start with you.
This is definitely I have vivid memories of this cup final too. I was at university at the time, and this was back when Champions League finals was still on Wednesday nights. And Wednesday night was a big night out in Sheffield if you're a student. So we couldn't find a pub to go to because they were all too busy. So we all watched it in the halls of Res.
Yep.
And then just bedlam, obviously, even not Liverpool fans. There wasn't a single Liverpool fan in my friend group, but still was really cool. As for the movie, it's a good movie in terms of the respect it shows to the cities and Liverpool and Liverpool's achievement. I find it's not a particularly great movie in some respects. Like, it's not funny, and I wrote most of my notes are a list of bad jokes, kind of. But then I think it's another of those where it's perhaps not aged particularly well. And maybe we'll get into it as we talk about the plot a bit more. But yeah, it was an okay movie. I just didn't love it, but I think it definitely did. It was like a good love song to and tribute to Liverpool's achievements for sure, and the lengths that fans will go to get to cup finals when it's their team that are out there.
Funny that you mentioned it. It hasn't aged too well, or in your opinion, it hasn't aged too well. It only came out in September 2014. That's not that long ago.
No, but it still feels
like a few years old.
It feels like the humors of another time. Like some of the weird objectifying of women and stuff, and it's just stuff we've seen a lot before, I guess. But yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like one of those like Tim Allen Disney movies, the comedy in it, with just like a little bit more of a harder edge with like the dirty underwears and like you were saying, the chasing of the females and stuff like that, and a little bit of the stuff they get up to. But there were so many like little nice touches to Liverpool, which I'm sure you appreciated. But yeah, the comedy itself didn't always land. There was a few funny moments, and it had kind of an inconsistent tone where you're supposed to be scared of gangsters, and like the closest thing it reminded me to was like a family film, but not really. Maybe, I guess in Europe they are a little bit more lenient with what they can show their kids, so maybe it is a family film.
I did find it, like you said, like the action stuff, there was no like stakes. Like those guys were pissed enough to like handcuff him up after, and then they're just like, oh, but this game's super important. So yeah, definitely watch this game whilst we handcuff you, and then we'll resolve. But I guess that's just meant to be comical. It's a bit. It just undermined the entire threat that was throughout the film, that it kind of ended that way.
I still don't get what the plot was. Like there was too many shaved guys with shaved heads and beards trying to be intimidating, and they all blended together at some point. So like, I'm sure you'll go through the plot, but it was take this, sell this, bring it to this, use this to get tickets. And then at some point I got lost in who was chasing who and who owed what money and who was trying to backstab who with a certain amount of money. And the whole thing was kind of messy for me. Yeah,
I mean, I took this movie more at face value, which was to show Adam, as you mentioned, how much somebody could love Liverpool Football Club and what lengths they would go to. And I think the action and the wit, if you want to call it that, was just kind of a side thing just to show what lengths people will go to. I agree with you, Mark. I think some jokes landed. I think a lot of the others didn't. And a lot of the reviews I read were actually saying the same thing. So there's a few funny jokes where, when they get to Istanbul and they're driving in the cab, they look at the Blue Mosque, which is the most popular mosque in the world. He's like, oh, that's a nice train station, right? Like,
and it sounds like that's a mosque.
I thought that
you compare that to, what was the one? When there's a girl that I assume must have had big breasts, and he's like, look at the Istanbulites on her, and it's just like, oh my God, no.
I did get a laugh when they were in the cab, and they're asking the cab driver about their hotel, and he's like, yes, asshole. And they just played it off as that's what he was calling them. But then it was a pass hotel with a few letters missing, so that got a good laugh out of me. But aside from that,
yeah, and there was actually a really bad one on that same cab ride where they're like, they're trying to speak to him in English or in Scouse, and he's like, Turkish, and he's like, this lad really wants quiche, right? And it's like, okay.
And then they get out of the taxi and he's like, enjoy the quiche. It's just like,
yeah. I mean, it's stupid funny, right? We're still laughing at it, sort of, right? We're laughing at how stupid it is. We're laughing at how stupid it is.
It's very amateur.
Yeah.
The way everything was done.
It looked like an amateur production, though, right? It didn't look like it was. That's what I thought, anyways.
I did, and there was one scene that was super obvious when they. We're getting into plot away, but when they first find the bag of money that's in their hotel room and they open it up, and it's so obvious it's not money. Like, it's just like two notes, and then it's just like a wad of paper that somebody has very badly cut into the size of $1 bills, and it just looks so bad.
Yeah.
Anytime they had a game playing on one of the TV screens, was obviously they green screened it in afterwards. So you could see the green glow around, like, what was the girl's name? Like, you could see the green glow around her hair because they had to replace it afterwards.
Layla?
Yeah.
When she stood in front of the TV towards the end.
Right.
And he's like, can you move?
Yeah. It's funny. So the director of this, his dad directed Return of the Jedi. So
I read that.
Semi-famous.
Did not know that. We'll walk through the plot really briefly, just to give people a sense of what this movie is about. But before I do that, I just want to give a shout out to the people that actually helped create this film. So this film is starring Steve Waddington as Tommy, one of the main characters, as well as Paul Barber as Gerry. As you were just mentioning, the director's father, it's directed by James Marquand or Marquand. Yeah. Sorry if I mispronounced.
It's Marquand.
It's Marquand. Okay. Yeah. It's production companies Big Years Entertainment and Karma Film Productions. Big Years is a company made in Liverpool, because in Liverpool they refer to the Champions League trophy as Old Big Years. So that's what that is. The release date, as we mentioned before, is 10th September 2014, and the running time is 93 minutes. It's distributed in conjunction with the club itself. So Liverpool FC actually helped distribute this movie to the masses. For some reason, when I was looking at reviews online, this movie opened in a lot of theaters in Australia. Yeah, I mean, Australia has a very sizable Liverpool fan base. They've filled the Melbourne Cricket Ground with 95,000. One time when Liverpool came to play a friendly there against Melbourne Victory. Yeah, it was awesome. And the You'll Never Walk Alone, actually, in that match was one of the best I've ever heard, but I digress. So let's get on with the plot. So this movie starts with somebody narrating. I think it's Tommy's son narrating that, Liverpool FC is like a religion. The managers are the gods and the players are the disciples. And us fans, we're the faithful. We're the 12th man. And
I have a quick question to ask about the 12th man thing. I'm so sorry to interrupt. Is that a thing that Liverpool use? Because there's a lot of clubs that really like Portsmouth don't have a number 12 shirt. They retired it decades ago and dedicated it to the fans. I've just never heard Liverpool. Like, there's other clubs I know that are famous for it, like FC Red Star, and I know Rangers do it, and there's a few other teams. I think Feyenoord and Lazio, but I didn't know Liverpool. That was until this movie. I genuinely never heard a Liverpool fan connect with the 12th man thing as much. Like, you already have You'll Never Walk Alone. Like, Portsmouth don't have that. We have the Pompey chimes, and we have the 12th man. Yeah, and we pretty much everyone talks about it. We've had shirts that have it on it. So I didn't know. So is that a thing fans do say and connect with?
That saying is massive on Merseyside in Liverpool. Okay. Like, we are the 12th man. We are the 12th player that's going to pull the ball into the net as Liverpool attacking.
Oh, right, yeah, maybe
especially the cop. Especially the cop.
Yeah, I've heard that being said about the cop pulling the ball into the net.
Yeah. But anyways, that narration in the beginning, where the manager is the god, the players are the disciples, and the fans are the faithful, the 12th man, is very reminiscent of how Liverpool fans in real life actually feel. Okay. I've heard I've experienced that managers are, absolute legends. Like, they're already saying they're going to build a statue for Klopp, and Rafa Benitez, so revered. And Gerard Houllier just passed away, and the amount of outpouring of support for him and his family that came from the Liverpool faithful. It's like, once you're manager of this club, even if you didn't have such a great time, you will still be revered in the history books in some sense. Sure. Okay. So anyways, that's how the movie begins, with that nice little narration that I really connected with. And then we meet Tommy and Gerry. We meet Tommy first, who's in his room, and he has all this Liverpool memorabilia. And, he's touching the "This is Anfield" sign, as players do when they walk onto the pitch. But this is in his room. And then immediately grabs a beer, and he's starting his match day, essentially. Meets up with Gerry. He's going to meet up with with other guys, and he's looking for his son. I forget his son's name now. Do you remember?
No, I don't. Not without looking it up.
Anyways,
Tommy and Gerry are the main guys, right?
Tommy and Gerry are the main guys. He's trying to look for his son,
Jimmy.
Jimmy, that's it. So his son Jimmy, who plays, he's basically a band member or a busker at a bar, and Jimmy's having none of it. Jimmy doesn't want to come to the match with his father because he feels like, his father didn't make it as a musician because of his love for Liverpool. So he wants to continue with the trajectory of doing music, and he's actually doing quite well. So he says, no, thank you. I don't want to come to the match. But these guys go to the match. And I will say this is one good scene in the movie, because you can tell that the people around them are obviously extras, but the songs that they're singing and just the general atmosphere, and you see the ground and all of that, No, that's pretty accurate. It was pretty accurate. But anyways, we see that part of it, but the movie basically starts because they want to go to Istanbul. So Liverpool's made it to the Champions League final. They want to go to Istanbul. And they're two cabbies who are broke. They have no money. They're broke. But they also want to use this as an excuse to connect with their sons. So, of course, as I said, Jimmy wants to have none of football. But he meets them up at a bar. And then, they start talking about Istanbul. And Jimmy's like, of course, I want to see the Blue Mosque and the Bosphorus. I'd love to see that. And of course, Tommy is like, I'm going to go there solely for the match. I don't care about any of that stuff. But he turns to his son. He's like, yeah, definitely we'll go see all that stuff. And so the four of them pretty much decide to go to Istanbul. But of course, like I said, they had no money. So they go to this loan shark to try to get some money. And they already owe him money. And so he's having none of it. So they're basically like, crap, how do we pay for this? How do we actually get to Istanbul? So Tommy actually has a treasure at home. So he has a little something at home that he's like, hey, if I sell this, he calls it the devil's trinkets. If I sell this, I think I can make enough money to actually go to Istanbul. So you know what? Long behold, and I won't go that deep into it, but it's basically Hitler's cufflinks that he has that they stole from a museum in Munich. And he goes to the same loan shark and he's like, hey, can I get money for this? And then they take him to a shop and he's like, yeah. The loan shark goes to the shop with the cufflinks and finds out he can get 300K. And then essentially they send Tommy and Gerry to Istanbul because that's where the buyer is to sell it. And that's where essentially the movie starts. That's essentially where the plot starts. I know I'm missing the wife part of it, but I don't think that's too important to the plot regardless.
The wife left him, right?
Yeah, the wife left him. It's the wife.
What was the other woman? You know what I'm talking about? Where who's the guy with the long hair that knocks on her door and she's like, give us a kiss. And then she just keeps trying to kiss him while he's trying to leave.
That's the wife.
Wait, the blonde woman?
The blonde woman, yeah.
That's his wife? Samantha Womack. She's not a wife. I think she's like a girlfriend.
I don't even think she's a girlfriend, right?
Or maybe, I don't know. Because then she's with the loan shark, Tony. She's also like oddly close to him, right? Like she's kissing him and stuff when they're in the car and think they're going to be rich.
Yeah. So to preface all of this, one of the attempt at humor in this movie is that, every wife has left Tommy because she's shagged a footballer.
Yeah.
So at one point you actually see Robbie Fowler knocking on the door and his wife saying, hey, don't you want to come in? Don't you want to come in? And that's the same woman, isn't it?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the same woman, and I think now she's shacked up with the loan shark. But whatever, the loan shark is trying to make money, and he wants to use Tommy and Gerry to fly to Istanbul, and he promises them that if you deliver these cufflinks, you will get 2 tickets to the match. And he's like, 2? We need 4. And he gives them some extra money. He's like, hey man, if you guys can find tickets, that's good for you, but we only talked about 2. So they fly to Istanbul at this point. And that's where the madness really, really starts. There's also a parallel storyline with 2 Turkish thugs who I guess are the buyers of those cufflinks, right? So whereas Tommy and Gerry are the sellers of the cufflinks, there's a middleman in Turkey who's the guy that's going to procure the cufflinks, and basically there's 2 Turkish thugs that are going to buy the cufflinks from him for 300K. At this point, Tommy and Gerry have no idea about the 300K. And so those 2 Turkish thugs basically in the parallel storyline go to this hotel and the police are after them. So they place that bag in a ventilator and then they leave. As soon as Tommy and Gerry and the 2 sons get there, they have the same room. So they get the exact same room for their couple of nights of stay or their one night of stay in Istanbul. But before I get deeper into the plot, we see the celebrations and Liverpool fans hanging out in Taksim Square, which is a famous square in the middle of Istanbul. And that's in real life in 2005, where all the videos and pictures of Liverpool fans were. Like, that's thousands and thousands upon Liverpool fans chanting on statues. And I remember following that live. So when you're a Liverpool fan, following the Champions League, the final especially, is not only about the match, it's all about what are fans doing beforehand. The same thing happened in Madrid 2 years ago, right? Where for days on end before the match, you're watching all these videos of Liverpool fans congregated in one area, drinking, singing, partying, right? So that was truly realistic. And then cabs of Liverpool fans greeting each other and holding flags outside. And it was like, yeah, that's actually what happened.
Not as big a deal, but when Portsmouth played Sunderland in the 2018, what the hell was it called then? Checker Trade Trophy.
Checker Trade Trophy, yeah.
So all the Sunderland fans, because it's a bigger trip, came down to London and took over London, so to speak. And they were like, oh, we've won the fight, and we beat them. Yeah. So then, but Portsmouth fans didn't have to do that because it's like 45 minutes away.
Yeah.
But that's a huge part. And I guess I've never been able to experience this, but when it's like a European Cup final, that's like amplified by tenfold, isn't it? Because it's a trip in another country. And then, each set of fans find their area to like basically take over and invade, right?
Yeah. It's insane because I follow a bunch of people that, live in Liverpool on Twitter and things like that. And when the final happened in Madrid and they were tweeting about Ryanair prices to go to Madrid, they went up as much as £700.
Yeah.
To just get down there. Like they knew what the demand was, and that's it. They raised their prices. So it's crazy.
They did something cool in that.
Sorry, go ahead.
That scene with all the fans in Taksim Square, they did something really cool at the camcorder, where obviously they wouldn't have that many extras, and they couldn't recreate that anyways. Those scenes you're mentioning. So when he's holding up the camcorder, just kind of does this like zoomed in shot, and they use actual footage from 2005.
Yeah,
of the supporters like on top of the buildings and stuff like that, which is really cool. A nice touch in this movie.
Yeah, and if you really want to see the bedlam that was Istanbul, there's actually the Sky Sports documentary called One Night in May. That's hosted by Kelly Dalglish, so Kenny Dalglish's daughter, and DJ Spoonie, and there's a bunch of other people like Jerzy Dudek's in the documentary. There's a bunch of people, and it was one of the most heartwarming and great documentaries I've seen, and would recommend to anybody, even if they're not a Liverpool fan, because you see everything from a couple of days before they left for the final to the victory parade at the end, and it was crazy how much that city loves its football. But anyways, back to the story, and I won't keep talking for too much longer. But essentially, what happens is the two Turkish guys, and actually the main Layla girl as well. They're kind of all on a team. They leave their money in an event. Tommy and Gerry and their sons have the same room, and a day goes by. They're celebrating, and one day they try to fix the vent because they see some smoke coming out of it, and they find the bag. And now they open this bag, and you mentioned this scene, Adam. There's $300K in there, all euros, all American dollars. And so they have a discussion, a 2-second discussion. Should we keep it or leave it? Because somebody must want this really bad because there's a gun in there and everything. And they're like, let's keep it. So basically they stash that money and they take off from the hotel because they don't want to be seen in that hotel again because they don't know who's going to come back to claim that money. At this time, I think they go near the Blue Mosque and then they party with some international Liverpool fans. But the next day, I should also preface that Tommy takes a liking to Layla because he thinks she's fit. So he's like, this is where he makes all those Istanbulets joke.
Istanbulets, yeah.
And perm. She's got a great perm.
She's got a Keegan perm. That's what they say, a Kevin Keegan
yes, perm. And they were arguing about it. Like, how can you fancy someone that's got a Kevin Keegan perm?
Yeah. But he fancies her, obviously, and, he wants to sleep with her. And then the two Turkish guys, they're basically, blaming Layla for losing that bag, right? Because she didn't go and get it for them. And at some point in the middle of a street, Tommy sees this and he tries to step in between. And at that point, whatever, it fizzles out. And then, Layla comes to him and she says, hey, meet me back at my hotel at this time because, Tommy thinks he's going to get lucky. So basically he goes back. And at this point, they had already gotten the tickets because they had given the cufflinks to that dude, to that procurement guy. And essentially they get back. Layla is basically still working for the two Turkish guys trying to lure Tommy back because obviously they think he has the money. And then at this point, Gerry goes to the match and he's wondering where Tommy is. His two sons, they went off on the night on their own as well, so they're nowhere to be found, and they're supposed to find their own tickets and they can't. So essentially, Tommy goes
tickets, so they need to get tickets to Barry Manilow instead.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
The guy takes them to a corner and gives them Barry Manilow tickets.
Exactly. But, all of these things take place. Tommy thinks he's about to get laid, and she drugs his drink, essentially. And at that point, the two Turkish guys... Sorry,
do they have sex? It's like the weird little dance scene with him and the Champions League music meant to be, rather than them showing him full-on romping. Because he wakes up, satisfied, right?
But he also starts wearing his shirt.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. The next morning, she's in his Liverpool t-shirt. Yeah.
So they insinuate that she did. Yeah.
Remember that scene in Summer of '92 with the shootout where everything goes black and then the spotlight on the single guy?
Yeah.
So it's the exact same in this movie. It all goes black, spotlight on the single guy. And then I was watching this movie with subtitles because I could barely understand the Scouser accent. So it pops up at the bottom and it says sultry Turkish music. Like, what is happening? And then the girl comes on and starts dancing.
Yeah. And after they have a romp in the hay, the two Turkish guys come in because they're obviously in on it and they want their money, and they handcuff him. Gerry's at the stadium on his own. The game starts. And at this point, the Suns get arrested because they had bought a fake ticket outside of the stadium, and that's a crime in Turkey. So they get taken to the police station.
That was a sting, though, right?
Yeah.
The
guy selling his ticket talks into his cufflink or something, doesn't he? Or goes like this and says,
he holds up the cash to say,
this actually happens in real life, because your name is supposed to be registered on the ticket that you buy, and not doing that is in some places illegal. So they get nicked. But then Tommy wakes up in the hotel. He's cuffed, and he begs with the two Turkish guys and the lady to turn on the game. And as soon as they turn on the game, Liverpool's down 3-0. And I will tell you, as much of a Liverpool fan as I am, that goal by Hernan Crespo, that pass by Kaká to split open the defense, and that goal by Hernan Crespo was exquisite.
Yeah. I just think it's the sheer pace it all happens at, right? Yeah. And it's just those both of Crespo's goals were within 5 minutes of each other, and it's just shit. They're just going to... And at that point, obviously it didn't happen, but they're just tearing the defence apart. So it's the Champions League final, so Liverpool have to go for it. It's not like you're going to come out for the second half and be we'll just play a 3-0 defeat and that'll be good. So then in your head, you're like, oh my God, if they rip forward and don't get goals, it could be 5-0. Because it was just with so much ease that he was Crespo got through. It was incredible.
It was, and the chip just to finish that off. I was like, God damn, right? But great goal. So as soon as they turn that on, Tommy sees that and he's down, right? He's like, what the hell? Gerry's walking around the concourse at halftime. The two kids are still in jail. The two sons are still in jail.
What was that plant that he brought with him?
That plant is they show this at the beginning. He keeps blades of grass from every Champions League or European Cup winning ground.
Yeah, so then how did he have it with him? He already went down to the pitch at the beginning of the match and grabbed it.
I mean, you don't see it happen, and it would never happen, right? You wouldn't get close enough.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of plot holes, so I'll say that.
Yeah.
Well, you haven't mentioned the ghost dad yet.
The who?
Oh, yeah.
The what?
Tommy sees his dad, doesn't he?
The ghost dad. Yeah. So throughout the movie, he keeps seeing his granddad, who's a ghost that keeps telling him,
the granddad. Okay.
What correct decisions to make. So if it's so during the game, for example, during the second half, obviously we know that Liverpool scores 3 goals in 6 minutes to tie it, but Gerrard scored the first goal, and his granddad, he sees on the TV saying, pass it to Stevie. And this guy just yells, pass it to Stevie. And of course, they pass it to Stevie in real life and Stevie scores. But there's other things too. Like in the beginning, he drops his scarf going into Anfield and his granddad is there basically pick it up. And he's like, I thought I just saw my granddad who's been dead for a long time. That is a very, very weird subplot to have in the movie that has nothing to do with the overall movie.
Like he's Obi-Wan Kenobi or something, guiding him through the movie.
Element.
Yeah. Anyways, at this point, Liverpool have scored the second goal. Vladimir Smicer scores the second goal, and the Turkish guys are like, listen, answer our questions. We're turning off this TV. So they turn off the TV, and he's like, no. And then Layla asks him, hey, why is this so important to you? Like, they're literally about to cut off your hands, and like, you still want to watch Liverpool. Football, yeah. And he's like, oh, it's the Champions League final. It's much more than football. And then he points to the screen while they're singing You'll Never Walk Alone. And he's like, look at that, right? It's more than just football. And he's like, listen, I'll get the money for you, just let me watch the entire game. So at this point, Gerry, I guess, is already on his way back because he thinks they're still losing 3-0. He then gets on the phone with Tommy because Tommy's going to tell him, hey, bring the money back that you have. But then he also tells him, hey, it's 3-2 now. And then he starts screaming in the car, being all excited. And then the penalty happens where Gerrard gets tripped by Gattuso. Yeah. And then Xabi Alonso goes up to take it, misses the initial kick, and then scores on the rebound. And they just go crazy. And he's like, oh, it's 3-3. At this point, Tommy gets back, but the police are also entering because they know something's up. This police gun battle, if you can call it that, ensues, and the police arrest all of them. So now not only are the sons in jail, so are Tommy and Gerry. And of course, they're missing all of extra time. At this point, we see the two sons, as Tommy and Gerry are being walked into their cell, singing a weird song about Tommy and Gerry, which the tune was kind of cool.
Horse with no name.
Sorry?
Horse with no name.
Yeah,
that was what it was like.
Yeah. But anyways, I mean, to cut a long story short, they get proven not guilty, or there's not enough evidence, and they let them into this room with a TV to watch the rest of the Champions League final, where because they made extra time and it was still 0-0 in extra time, 3-3, but 0-0 in extra time, they go to penalties, and they of course watch Milan miss a couple of penalties, and then Liverpool score, and Liverpool wins the Champions League, and they're all celebrating, and then it cuts to Liverpool, and they're all singing in a bar. They're all singing the Istanbul song. And it turns out Layla's with them in Liverpool now. So that was the happy ending.
Do you know what took me out of a couple of those? And it happened earlier in the film as well. Yeah. So there's obviously the main cast who are all really happy. And then there's a few other fans in like Liverpool shirts and stuff singing along. Yeah. There's also quite a few extras just stood in the background, pint glass in hand, just looked dead bored. Just like, yeah.
What if I looked at the camera?
Looking around, it's just like, oh, come on. It's not even a big pub. They just needed to find like 10 people that looked interested. And they couldn't even do that.
100%. So if I could reiterate again, it basically starts as two broke cabbies find a gangster, need them to deal something in Istanbul for exchange and tickets. They get the tickets. They, one of them doesn't end up at the match because he stole some money from would-be gangsters, and then they all go to jail, and that's where they watch the finale of the Champions League final, and then they go home happy with the girl that they met in Istanbul, essentially, is what I said in many more words. So any more thoughts on this movie?
I do think it's kind of sad that they don't all get to the Champions League final and they end up watching it in some dirty police like basement or whatever it is, it's like storage room. Yeah. But then I guess ultimately that doesn't matter. And like Tommy gets the girl and they still have stories to tell, right? It's all about, and they do, this is where the film's really good. Yeah. Some of those lighter moments where they're reminiscing about the other triumphs that they've been there for and everything, those are genuinely touching. And there's that time when they're on that rooftop with all those Liverpool fans, and Tommy's like, hey, and the two sons are talking like, hey, look at them two. Does it remind you of anyone? And they're like, yeah, us. And it's like, there's a real, as much as I think the humor misses the spot sometimes, and because it's low budget, like the action isn't really action. There's like heart and soul to this movie.
For sure.
In a way, kind of in a similar way to when Saturday Comes has for the city of Sheffield. This has it for like the magic of Liverpool's relationship with the Champions League. Yeah. Kind of. And I do like that. Yeah. And to them, it doesn't even matter that they're in a dirty basement. They were in Istanbul.
Yeah. The whole thing kind of falls apart under its own weight. Like they had that weird subplot with Hitler's cufflinks. Yeah. And
like, why
there was no good way to flesh that out. I don't know. It was strange.
All things, like a weird MacGuffin to have of all things.
I think they said it. It's on their way back from Rome.
In Hitler's cufflinks, like a thing that's like important. We've just missed.
Yeah, it's on their way back from Rome. during one of the Champions League finals back in the 70s, and they stopped off in Munich, and then they stole Hitler's cufflinks, right? Because somebody lost it there, and this is apparently where Gerry slept with a German tranny, as they say in the movie. This movie actually is very non-PC, man.
Yeah, for a movie that just came out like 5 years ago,
yeah,
right? Especially.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool.
Yeah. It's I don't know, man. Even like him falling in love with Layla, it doesn't make any sense.
No,
like he meets her as a maid in the hotel, and then it was literally one night, she falls in love with him and moves back to Liverpool.
Yeah,
it's kind of just lust really for him as well, right? And yeah, and then there's the whole weird subplot. We've missed the bit where they go to the shop originally and the guy sells them Viagra, and it's just like, why did they feel the need to put that in there? And then he's like playing with his little like necklace thing to demonstrate what it was. It's just a weird, like, why?
Oh yeah, the Tommy.
Yeah, it's just so weird.
Yeah,
some of the like, it definitely falls under the weight. It needed half of the things. Don't overcomplicate the gangster plot. Like it had a gangster plot almost so complicated that it should be in like a Guy Ritchie movie in some respects, and have way more time to breathe and learn the nuances. It just didn't need it. It could have been more hijinks. And for
I would have enjoyed it more if it was like a road trip movie, like Road Trip or Euro Trip, right? Yeah, where they just encounter like
so much happens in that hotel room, and it's like it's like the nastiest hotel room. Yeah, it's all budget.
Was this funded by Liverpool, or was it just distributed?
Yeah, it was in part. It was funded by Liverpool as well. I will say one thing. Some of the songs that they're singing in the movie, I've caught myself like just on my couch, like starting to sing along, especially Fields of Anfield Road, when they were singing that in the Turkish bar. For anybody that doesn't know, that's after Fields of Veterinary. Did I say that correctly?
I think so.
Was it Fields of
Veterinary?
Veterinary, yeah.
Veterinary, yeah. Either way, Fields of Anfield Road, as I know it. Which was a great song, still sung on the terraces to this day. So I found myself on a couple of occasions just singing along the movie. But I agree with you.
I'm still singing that song from my English soccer adventure. So.
But honestly, I agree with you. I think this movie, and I was actually going to ask this question, how would you make this movie better? And I think you nailed it on the head. I think a road trip type movie without the subplot of the two Turkish guys, like that wasn't needed.
It would almost be better if they like stole something valuable to sell in Istanbul, and it was about their madcap race to get to Istanbul in time whilst some gangsters are chasing them across Europe or something, and then they get to the guy to sell them, like not something as expensive and absurd as Hitler's cufflinks. They sell it, and then they're all running to try and get to the game or something like that. That would have been them drop off a few other cities around Europe, but then that's obviously insane plot.
Budgetary things too.
But you know what though? This was based on a stage play. So if you think about it, it makes so much sense that a lot of that action happens in a hotel room, because they would have that set on the stage and they're basing it all around that one set piece, right?
Yeah, they probably literally had sets for the bar, set for that hotel, maybe a set for the street, and maybe something for the stadium, and that's all they would have had, right? Like at most.
Yeah, it just didn't adapt well to a film.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, they did try to stretch their budget, and it was cool. I still really love the scene where they're on top of that, hanging out with the international fans, and then in the morning they get that view of Istanbul. I was like, that looks good. Right.
Yeah, when they're on the boat, right, with the guitar, and he's talking about the other Champions League finals that they attended.
That's one of the scenes, especially when the kids wake up in the morning, Jimmy and I forget the other guy's name, but they wake up in the morning and then they see
the guy has PTSD. They make a joke of it. It's so weird.
Yeah, a lot of hits, a lot of things that landed, especially if you're a Liverpool fan. I feel like this is definitely by Liverpool fans for Liverpool fans, right? More so. A lot of hits.
Appreciate it in that sense.
100%. I love this. I mean, I didn't love. I love.
No, man, you're pretty excited in the Slack.
I love the movie without loving the movie, if you get what I mean.
Yeah, that's what I said. Like, it's such an historic event that it's based around. Yeah. And there's no footy flicks in it per se, other than the archive footage, right? And like even then, just watching it is so good. Like I think, like I remember watching, like, the moment that Smitzer scores that second goal, you're like, holy crap, they could definitely do this. And then lo and behold, like 2 minutes later, they get a penalty. And it's like, this is insane. So I think, and the way it kind of plays with that, with them all being in different places and not catching parts of it and catching part, like, it's cool. And it's just like, there's a certain pandemonium that you can't help but love. And like, it's going to be one of the greatest comebacks of our lifetimes. Like, 100%. You just don't see that stuff happen. Like, 100%. The team blows somebody away, it's usually gone, right? Like, it's incredible. It's not like it was a little team, an underdog against a big dog. It was like the two best teams in Europe at that time.
Rematch 2 years later, was it?
No, rematch was two years later, and Milan won 2-1. Inzaghi goal. Yeah. And my friend was mentioning, watch, this guy's going to be offside 50 times in this game, and there's going to be one time he's not offside, right?
Funny, I'm reading, what am I reading? What the hell is it called? Not Inverting the Pyramid, the other one that's famous by Michael Cox. Mark, we were talking about the other day. What the hell is it
zonal marking, right?
Sorry?
Zonal marking?
Not zonal marking.
Yes, zonal marking. That's it. Zonal marking. And that's Michael. Yeah, there's a chapter. I'm just reading the Italian chapter, and there's a whole like few pages about Inzaghi and being caught offside and how he fitted in different attacking systems and stuff. And it's like, basically, he didn't. He was the most selfish player in the world, and he would just do anything to get there. And he'd be offside like 10 times a game.
Yeah, 100%. That AC Milan team, probably one of the best teams I've seen play over those few years. Man, Kaká, Pirlo. Yeah. It starts from the back, actually. Dida, Cafu, Maldini, Nesta.
To think Portsmouth nearly beat them in the UEFA Cup.
Jaap Stam, right? And then midfield, Gattuso.
That podcast I just shared with you guys, Bunga Bunga, about Silvio Berlusconi.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's literally why he got elected for a second term.
Oh,
he failed the first term, and then when he ran for, I think it's Prime Minister, he literally said, I gave you guys a winning team. I made Milan into a winning team.
Yeah.
You guys know I can run this country because I gave you guys this amazing team.
That's in zonal marking as well, how he claimed credit for all of Milan. Yeah.
That point we were making before about, how that's the best comeback of all time, in our lifetime at least. That reputation, Liverpool took that forward. That's happened many, many times over the last 2 decades since that game. If you remember the next year against West Ham in the FA Cup final, that Gerrard goal at the end, absolute rabbit out of a hat. That was a comeback.
Yeah.
Dortmund a few years ago in the UEFA Cup or the Europa League, whatever it's called now, that 5-4 where Lovren scored at the end. And then Barcelona. And 2 years ago in the Champions League now. That was, I don't know what's a better comeback. I mean, obviously Istanbul means more because we actually won the European Cup, but I don't know what was a more stellar comeback. Against Barcelona, against Lionel Messi, to just blank them 4-0.
It's weird though, isn't it? Barcelona have this weird habit of getting absolutely smashed every couple of years by somebody, don't they? So it's like, where does that, like, it's strange. Like, they lost, what was it, 6-0 to
Roma?
Bayern Munich or somebody?
7-0 to Bayern, right?
Oh, yeah. Last year. Yeah. They just have this habit of that. I think to do in a final is more like clutch, right?
Of course.
Like, there's no recovery.
It's a half.
Yeah.
It's 6 minutes, actually, is what it was.
In case of the same game, it's like, that's insane.
And it's surprising how Liverpool didn't lose that game in extra time, because there was this chance that Milan had that Dudek somehow saved, and no idea how. It was just like reflex. I don't know what it was. But anyways, that's enough about real football. Anything else to say about this movie that I might have missed or that you picked up on? No?
I think so.
All right. Maybe we can move on to footy flicks. I mean, it was all archive footage, but what did you think were the best footy flicks? We'll start with you, Adam.
For me, it's that Smitzer goal. I just think it's like it was one thing Gerrard scored in that first goal and kind of giving him a hope, but the fact that Smitzer scored that goal, and then it's just one of those things, like, I remember watching it and like being with all my friends and being like, holy shit, they could do this. There's still like, whatever, like at that point, it was like, if there's a lot of injury time, it's still like 40 minutes of football to go here. They could definitely do this. And I think like that. And then it's weird. I think when they win it, it's cool. But I think their antics in that basement, some of it gets lost because they're pissing about with those lucky pants and stuff. And it's like the best moment. gets clouded by too much humour, kind of in the way. So I think it's a Smitzer goal because it's just a really good thing. Kind of, there isn't too much. It's left to be like, there's this ground moment. It looks cool.
Sorry, I forgot to mention the lucky pants. So throughout the movie, there's these underpants that Gerry wears that are his lucky underwear that, he's asked to take off because they smell or whatever. And then, they're used as a prop to shove into people's mouths while they're having fight scenes and just like pass around as like this dirty thing that, play hot potato with kind of thing. Like, it was weird, but what about you, Mark? Footy
honestly, it's going to be a crappy answer, but I kind of enjoyed, like, I wasn't watching European football at that point, right? So it's kind of cool to see what I missed, and it's inspired me to go back and watch the actual final. So in our off time, I'm going to go back and watch a few of these matches that I made, like the Milan team that you were saying. And listening to that podcast too, right, has kind of given me like a different glimpse at that. So being able to kind of see that whole match that I missed, not watching club football at that point.
Yeah.
So it's cool. It was a little bit of piece of history that I wasn't kind of tuned into.
Yeah.
So
nice.
Cheat answer for me, but it was nice to see an entire match that I missed.
Cool. For me, I mentioned how good that Crespo goal was. Obviously not my favorite footy flick. It has to be the Gerrard header to start everything off. As a Liverpool fan, as a guy that idolized Gerrard growing up, you were like, there's one guy that can pull this team up by the scruff of their necks, and it's Steven Gerrard. And after that, he got the reputation that this man can win matches on his own.
Yeah.
And he did for his career.
That West Ham Cup final, you were saying?
He won that on his own.
Yeah.
He won that on his own. That goal, by the way, in that game was, oh my God, in the West Ham. It was like, it was like 35, 40 yards, man. It was crazy. Yeah. What a shot power that guy had. But yeah, that's got to be my favorite footy flick, just for what ensued after that and just how it all got started was from there. All right, we're done footy flicks. So now it's time to move on to trivia. And of course, this is going to be all Liverpool trivia. I mean, what else could it be? And this is us to finish off the season. So does anybody have a recap of the points so far? I think I can't lose.
Yeah. So Mark's trailing in 9 points. Then there's me with 10 points. And then you're in the lead with 13, Raghav.
Yeah. So the
best I can do is be joint top with you.
Defend
my crown with you.
All right. So we'll start off with the first question. Which year was the last year where there was a direct transfer between Liverpool and Manchester United? Was it 1973, B, 1964, or C, 1949? We'll go with Adam first.
Wait, 1973,
1964, and 1949.
Direct, which way, sorry?
Direct between Liverpool and Manchester, doesn't matter. Either way.
I'm going to go 73.
All right. Mark, how about yourself?
I'll mix it up. I'll go 64.
That point and puts me as champion goes to Mark. Thank you, Mark. You did it. You're my Chelsea to Manchester City.
Damn it.
So the last transfer between Liverpool and Manchester United was a player going from Manchester United to Liverpool in 1964. His name was Phil Chisnall.
Oh, okay, yeah.
No idea who that is, by the way. All right. At time of recording, what does the current unbeaten streak at Anfield sit at? Is it 66 games, 59 games, or 69 games? 66, 59, or 69?
God damn it. The game, they literally must have mentioned it like 10 times during the last Liverpool game that was on TV.
At least 15, yeah.
First?
Yeah, sure, Mark, you can go first.
I think it's 59.
Okay. Adam?
I'm going to say 66.
That point goes to Adam.
Yes.
It's 66 games. This has been the last 2.5 years that they have been unbeaten at Anfield. Fortress Anfield. And it doesn't, I don't want to jinx anything, so I'm not just going to say anything. But yeah, 66.
By the time of publishing, that might be over.
Yeah.
Hope not. We did beat Spurs there, though, which was point us top of the table. Okay, this question has no multiple choice, but for anybody that watched football back in the day, this shouldn't be too hard. Which treble did Liverpool accomplish in the 2000-2001 season? So which trophies did they win to complete that treble? We'll start with Adam.
FA Cup, League Cup, and I'm going to say it was the UEFA Cup at the time, I believe.
Which would have been the Europa League? It
was the Europa League, what became the Europa League, yeah.
How about yourself, Mark?
FA Cup, League.
Yeah.
And I don't know, just copy Adam's answer, geez. I'll copy Adam's answer. I can't think of what the third one would be. It wasn't Champions League. Club World Cup. Was that around then? No.
It would have been, yeah. It was called something else back then.
I'll say Club World Cup. I'll give you a second. I'm not copying Adam.
You are copying Adam, right? Because I was going to give you a second to think about that Club World Cup because you're both right. Right? I think you can only get into the Club World Cup if you win the Champions League.
You have to win your league, right? Isn't it?
You have to win the Champions League. Yeah.
All right. Confederation Champions League.
Yeah. All right. So both of you get 2 points on this occasion. Thanks for playing that trivia. It's not enough. Adam, you finished 1 point behind me. And
congrats.
Mark, thank you. Defending champ. I mean, not defending, sorry, new champ. Just like Liverpool last year. Hadn't done it in 30 years. By the way, the jersey I'm wearing today is from the 2005 season. So,
sick.
Yeah. This is one of the last. No, wouldn't have been. No. I've bought kits since then, but I remember buying this one.
What Liverpool kits do you have? Because you're not really a kit collector, right? You have the candy one.
I have the candy one. I have this one. I had the Gerrard 2009 one, but that one got a little bit ruined.
Right.
Yeah, it got ruined, but I am about to pick up my new Nike Trent Alexander-Arnold kit tomorrow. So that should be cool, of course. I've become a bit of a kit collector in the last 2 weeks because I got the York 9 kit. I'm going to get the Liverpool kit. And
you got the York 9 one like a week before they rebranded it.
100%.
Away from York 9.
I could say I've been there since day one. And there's a non-league team whose kit I also want to get. So Punjab United.
Oh yeah.
Oh, cool.
I actually reached out to them on Instagram and they said, "Hey, let us look into what they can do." They don't have a club shop or even a website, so so they're like, "Let us see what we can come up with for shipping." But we'll see how that goes.
North Miss sale is still on. North Mississauga sale. You should jump on that and grab
I'm going to jump on that. I'll jump on that tomorrow. They ship it directly to your house, so you got to pick it up.
Curbside pickup.
You can ship, but it's kind of not worth it for how cheap some of the stuff is
and how close it is.
Yeah, probably half the price of the jersey.
Yeah. Anyways, that was a good trivia session. Both of you on 2 points. Let's move on to rating this movie. So, what did you guys? Let's take it back for a second. Out of 5, what would you give this movie? We'll start with you, Mark.
Out of 5?
Yeah.
2. Solid 2.
Solid 2.
Yeah, it wasn't a good movie to me, but I could appreciate all of the little loving nods to Liverpool that they had, and then the actual match footage that they incorporated without trying to just do their own stuff on a really minuscule budget. Yep. Thank God for that. So aside from that, all the acting was terrible and the plot didn't make any sense. So 2, 1 point for each of those
2
elements.
What about yourself, Adam?
Yeah, I think it's like a 2, 2.5. Yeah. I think so. As I mentioned this in our Slack, a lot of these actors are like soap opera actors or like some like second-rate like comedies and stuff. The only one that I actually would rate is Paul Barber. Like he plays a guy called
Gerry.
Gerry. He's in Only Fools and Horses, which is a pretty classic English comedy.
He's one of the movie.
Yeah, he's one of the like main characters in that, like one of their sidekicks, kind of. But all the rest is so many like soap opera. It's kind of hard for me to look past the kind of weird performances they put in. But so like basically, in short, it gets 2.5 points, kind of for the way it does a good it does Liverpool's Champions League final justice, I guess, and it does Liverpool fans are really good. Like narrative of how great of fans they are and like their history and stuff. And
yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that soap opera bit, because the beginning, just the way it was shot, the camera angles, I'm like, this reminds me of Coronation Street.
Yeah, exactly. It could easily be. And like, it's Samantha Womack, the blonde woman. She was in EastEnders. Like, so totally like that street level, and everyone, the way people were walking out of their houses at the beginning is total like set of Coronation Street kind of thing.
I guess that's me. I'll have to do an unbiased review of this movie. From the Liverpool angle, loved it, right? Great ode to Liverpool, all the songs, all the fans. The Taksim Square thing was so nostalgic. I mean, I wasn't there, but it was, seeing it on media and things like that. But then, of course, as a movie, I'm like, there's so many plot holes, and there's so many plot points there for no reason. So I would go with a solid 2.5. I think that's what I'd give the movie as well. It's 50% good, right?
Would you watch it again?
Oh yeah, not anytime soon, but I would. Yeah, yeah. I totally forgot about this movie because I had watched it a really long time ago.
It only came out like 5 years ago, right?
Yeah, I mean, I had probably watched it when it got released, or just shortly thereafter.
I remember for like COVID time inflation, this year's felt like 3 years. So it actually came out like 8 years ago.
Yeah. It's interesting. There's actually another movie on the 2005 Champions League final. It's called Will, You'll Never Walk Alone. Like Will, the name, Will. Will, You'll Never Walk Alone. And it's about this young orphan kid. And it actually stars Damian Lewis as well in one of the sides.
Oh.
Yeah, because Damian Lewis is from Liverpool, right? Huge Reds fan. But yeah, perhaps we can do that movie one day. We'll see. I mean, it's table time. It's match day matinee table time. Does anybody
last one of the season? Last
one of the season. So this is going to be final standings.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anybody have a recap of the table handy?
Yeah, I've got it here. So 11th place, My English Soccer Adventure. 10th, Penalty. 9th, Captain Tsubasa. 8th, Goal 2. 7th, All the Freckles in the World. Oh, yeah, I've gone wrong with the numbers here. Next is Shaolin Soccer, then Goal of the Dead, and then our top 3 is United, When Saturday Comes, and The Keeper.
What's below United, sorry?
Below United is Goal of the Dead.
And then below that?
The Keeper, When Saturday Comes, United, Goal of the Dead, Shaolin Soccer, All the Freckles in the World, Goal 2, Captain Tsubasa, Penalty, My English Soccer Adventure.
All right. Well, so let's start with Adam, yourself, man. Where are you putting this movie? This is a tough one.
Yeah.
You know,
this is a really tough one because I'm like,
it's really hard. These films have like next to no football, and you're trying to judge it like next to no like actual football in the plot, where it's just the vehicle. Like, there's so little football in this film, really, but football's obviously all around it. Like, you think about like All the Freckles in the World, it has more soul than that movie. That movie was just so like, it's in the middle of the table. I'd put it personally between All the Freckles in the World and Shaolin Soccer, I think. So
did we put Freckles above Tsubasa?
Yes.
Yeah, we did. And above Goal 2.
That's a mistake.
Really?
That's a mistake.
But when I think about that film, like we're talking about doing the awards, right? So I started writing the list of characters and performances, and it's like, I don't remember anything about that film other than there was some funny football scenes.
Motorcito, man. Motorcito's still a legend in that movie.
Yeah, and there was that blonde girl that was kind of a bitch to him, and that's kind of all I can remember.
So between below Shaolin Soccer.
Shaolin, I've had more fun watching Shaolin, I think.
And so what place would that be?
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th.
6th. Not bad. What about yourself, Mark?
So below Shaolin, this is better than Penalty. So it goes Penalty, Tsubasa, Freckles.
Goal 2.
Goal 2, then Freckles?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay, I'm going to put this below Goal 2.
Ooh.
Wait, it's Goal 2, then Freckles?
Yeah, I think so.
Freckles goal 2, Tsubasa penalty.
Freckles goal 2, Tsubasa penalty. Yeah.
Oof, you're putting this below goal 2.
I don't know, man. Freckles, Tsubasa, goal 2. Okay. I will put it above goal 2 if you can agree to that.
So between goal 2 and Tsubasa.
Below Tsubasa, above goal 2?
Yeah. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
But wait. Say that again. Below
Tsubasa, above goal 2.
But wait, Tsubasa's. Hang on.
We really need a live ticker. Or something.
See, so I've got. I'm using Google Keep to move them around. Like I've got. So wait. So it's My English Soccer Adventure. It's in reverse order. My English Soccer Adventure. So you're saying better than that? Better than penalty?
Yes.
Better than Tsubasa?
Oh, so goal 2 is above Tsubasa.
Yeah, goal 2 is above Tsubasa.
Okay.
Yes, it is. I see it now.
All right, let's do it that way. Let's just read. Okay, so better than. I'm saying it's better than My English Soccer Adventure.
Yes.
It's better than penalty.
Yes.
It's better than Captain Tsubasa.
Yeah.
It's better than goal 2.
Kind of.
So that's where it's going to cap out there. And is it better than all
goal
the?
2.
So above or below goal 2? What are you saying?
Yeah, I put it below. So I'm skewing higher here because I put it above all the Freckles, which is the next. Yeah. Mark, you seem to think it's capping out somewhere around where goal 2 is.
Goal 2 wasn't that great though. I mean, Santi.
Shit, man.
His character went to crap in that movie. The plot wasn't that great. Gavino was ruined in that movie.
They undid everything in goal 2 that they built in goal, put it that way.
They left Roz pregnant at the end of the movie, but also leaving Santi.
Yeah.
All right. So we put goal 2 above Tsubasa?
Yep.
Yes.
Tsubasa's a fun little 30-minute romp, though. So it's above or below Tsubasa is the final argument, right?
Okay. Let me
for you, because Adam went above all the Freckles, and before.
Oh, really? That high?
He went above all the Freckles and below Shaolin.
What are you saying?
Do you want me to? Honestly?
Yeah.
It's gonna be like number 2.
No, number 1. Okay, no, I'm kidding. Dude, I've been saying this since the beginning of the season. I hated Shaolin soccer. I actually hated Shaolin soccer.
Which we already accounted for. Like, we moved it down a spot. Like, it was, don't forget, it was second for a while.
Yeah.
And then we kind of adjusted and put When Saturday Comes. And since then, it's like slowly gone down.
So
we got summer of 90. No, sorry, we got the keeper in first or summer of 92?
I'll read it out. I've reordered the list now, so it's actually proper. So first, summer of 92. Second, the keeper. Third, When Saturday Comes. 4, United. 5, Goal of the Dead. 6, Shaolin Soccer. 7, All the Freckles. I've got 8, One Night in Istanbul at the moment. 9, Goal 2. 10, Captain Tsubasa. 11, Penalty. And 12, My English Soccer Adventure.
All right, so it's simple for me. I'm putting this above Shaolin, below Goal of the Dead.
Okay.
So this
I can live with anything, but not better than Goal.
That would go 6th for me, right? Or 5th?
That would be 6th if you're saying it's better than Shaolin Soccer.
Yep.
I got to rewatch.
So maybe the compromise is above All the Freckles then, where I put it between the two of you, because this film's definitely better than Goal 2. It has more heart than Goal 2. Goal 2 does a better, like we've talked about, Goal 2 used CGI and put everyone in the stadium and all that crap, and they could have tried to redo it, but they didn't need to. I personally think this is better than, like Mark, you've already said it's better than Goal 2. This is better than Freckles. There's more heart to this film.
I thought Freckles was like, I'm like, why am I watching this?
That kid is a jerk in Freckles. Like, why are you even rooting for him?
Just because he was a protagonist didn't mean he was likable, right?
At least you root for these guys, kind of. I don't know, actually.
I didn't feel like All the Freckles was like a grown man movie. That's my personal take on it.
I don't think it's better than Shaolin Soccer, though.
This movie?
I hated Shaolin Soccer, man. It's so bad. Come on, Mark, make the call. Make the call,
It's
Mark.
not better than Goal of the Dead at all.
No. Goal of the Dead. No, I would never. I just think
If it was up to me, I'd be putting it above Goal 2.
Yeah.
So what's between Goal 2 and Goal of the Dead?
Shaolin Soccer and All the Freckles.
All right, if you feel that way, Mark, and I feel like it's higher, Adam's in the middle. So why don't we just go with what Adam said?
What did Adam say?
Adam said seventh.
Seventh above All the Freckles.
Above All the Freckles, below Shaolin Soccer.
Yeah, I'm game with that. I could live with that.
So we have our season 2 match day matinee table.
We do.
Sure. Can we read it for one last time, and we'll just see how we feel about it?
Yes, read the full standings.
We can always pull out the VAR again.
No, read the full standings. Read the full standings.
In number 12, My English Soccer Adventure. Number 11, Penalty. Number 10, Captain Tsubasa, Euro Daikasen. Number 9, Goal 2. Number 8, All the Freckles in the World. Number 7, new entry, One Night in Istanbul. Number 6, Shaolin Soccer. Number 5, Goal of the Dead. Number 4, United. Number 3, When Saturday Comes. Number 2, The Keeper. And this year's champion is Summer of 92.
Done. That's great. Yeah, I think that's good. I agree.
Yeah.
That top half of the table is solid. Everything below that is kind of like a dog's breakfast.
Yeah,
I feel like the top 5 is really solid. Yeah.
Top 5 is solid. I even think like 6th and 7th are watchable, right?
Yeah.
Everything below All the Freckles, I'm like, nah.
English Soccer Adventure, solid choice for Wooden Spoon. Terrible movie.
Wooden Spoon. Who was last year's Wooden Spoon again? It was
United Passions, of course.
United Passions.
Oh yeah.
All right.
We forget.
English Soccer Adventure is still better than United Passions.
Well, you're jumping ahead. We still have to, at some point, merge these all into one table and argue about it.
But the production values on United Passions were insane. Like, it looked like Titanic.
The shot where he's holding the World Cup in his office and just looking at it was something else. And that other one, the scene where, what the hell is the guy from Jurassic Park is like basically evoking God's power. Yeah, Sam Neill's basically like evoking God's power to help the World Cup become real or whatever the hell it is.
Avalanche. And he has a different Brazilian accent every scene from one scene to the next. Yeah.
Like at least My English Soccer Adventure was consistent.
Yep. Anyways,
and you like that scene with the ball? Was it the Telstar?
Oh.
No, the Adidas ball from the 70s.
Oh yeah.
When they unveil it, yeah.
Anyways, we can like Adam said, we'll have that combined table. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of juicy discussions there. I believe that brings us to the end of our show.
Yeah,
awesome. And the season, of course, Yeah. So we will be coming at you with some content in between seasons. Of course, we do our awards, we do our draft, and we'll be looking at, different ways to approach that. Maybe we'll have some guests. We'll see. We haven't really decided yet. But to end our show, Mark, if people want to find you, where can they find you?
I'm at Mark83 on Twitter and 83football on Instagram.
And how about yourself, Adam?
Joypad Goalposts on Twitter and Instagram.
Awesome. And for myself, you can find me at Raghav Sandhu on Instagram and Twitter. Make sure to follow us if you want to have any kind of good soccer conversations. And of course, follow our main channel at Matchday Matinee on Twitter. Sorry, not our main channel, our main account. At Matchday Matinee on Twitter. Hit us up with any movies you want to see. At this point, we'll take everything into consideration and keep watching, keep listening, rewatch, and then watch us again next season. And that's essentially the end of the season. So from the terraces to the theater, we're Match Day Matinee. See you next season.